Leadership is influence. They say a leader is someone with at least one follower. Therefore, there seems to be some over-concentration on political leadership in Nigeria. However, there are also leaders in all other spheres of living, of life itself, whether the religious, the business sector, and every other pursuit, indeed. But how are we cascading down leadership in Nigeria to ensure that those who are coming behind are also tooled for the challenges of their time, challenges which indeed seem to be increasing on a daily basis? What is anybody doing about this problem of leadership and this lacuna, indeed, that gap between the leaders that are around today and those who are coming behind? That's what they call Generation Z. That's what they call millennials, and so on and so forth. Different generations have been identified by their idiosyncrasies and exposure and the way they look at life and deal with problems. In Nigeria as well, if we look at it, we'll see that there are momentous occasions that have happened over time that define generations from one to the other. Joining us to discuss the subject of leadership today, and of course, the role of mentorship in leadership and how this plays out for Nigeria as a whole, is Mr. Mevon Samuel, and well, a leadership coach as well, and the CEO of the My Go Mentoring Club. So welcome, Mr. Mevon.
Thank you, Dr. Tope.
I've just given some background to this subject of leadership, which I always say that in Nigeria, most people go for leadership training, but we're not seeing much of that. You know, people like to go for leadership training. Perhaps most people can understand that they are actually leaders, whether they have titles or not, you know. But what is the upshot? What's going on in our society? And how do we bridge the gap in leadership between the old folks and, of course, those who are coming behind?
Thank you, Dr. Tope. I'm most delighted to be here. Now, there is a very major gap between the older generation and the upcoming generation, as it were. So like you rightly said, you use the word lacuna. It is quite pitiable that the younger generations that's my generation, because I think I'm part of that generation, are only going after money.
Wow. Yes.
So they want to do all they can to make sure they make money. But the good thing is life is not a relay race. It's a marathon. So it's not a marathon, it's a relay race. It's not what you just run and it finishes.
It's not a relay race, it's actually a marathon.
It's actually a marathon, yes.
You set on and keep trying.
Yes. So you have to, if you rush to become an elder, like I always say, what will not become at the evening of your life?
That's if you enjoy everything you can enjoy.
You rush, you make the money and the rest, but you don't have the knowledge, the requisite knowledge to keep these funds. There is nobody you could run to, because whether you like it or not, life will happen to you.
Yeah.
And there must be somebody you could run to be able to say, oh, this has happened, and the person comes through. I call them the towing vans.
The towing vans.
Because no matter how nice your car is, if it's faulty on the way, the car that would likely tow that car may be far cheaper than the broken down car. So the aspect of leadership is not actually training, as it were. It should be like a lifestyle thing. It should be consistent. Every young person should find a mentor. And that's what we have generally advocated at the My Go Mentoring Club, that the easiest way to become a captain is to follow another captain. No captain is self-made. Every captain is made by another captain. And also, fortunately for our older generations, the difficulty of also accessing them is the challenge. The younger generation could not access them. And like I've always said, most of our successful people don't write. They don't have platforms that could come and talk to young people. So young people are left in the hands of only religious leaders who only accept one part of the life. There's another part, but the religious leaders will only take just one part of it. The other part is left for mentors. But these older mentors are not actually accessible. They are successful, they have done everything, they are in the climax of their life.
Well, maybe they're not, maybe I'm just trying to think about why they may be reluctant to be assessed. Is it maybe they don't want you to know the secret of their success, or they're not proud of their own journey, but they have the money and all of that? And then are we talking about people with money, people who have made money, or what kind of success are we looking at?
Okay, now I'm talking about people who have actually set a goal for themselves over time and have achieved it.
Yeah.
And people who are still relevant over seasons. You know, if the way people make money in this country is, you know, with some of us, know, you just enter a public office and the next day you are rich. If you follow the trend of those people, those wealth is not sustainable. You can't trace it over time. Before you know, once they're out of office, they go numb at the rest. I'm talking of people who have been able to build businesses, set a goal for themselves, and achieve the goals over time. And they have been able to remain relevant over seasons. Because people who have been able to remain relevant over seasons know something that everybody else needs to know. And even though, for instance, you make your wealth through illicit means,
Yes.
you are not proud of it, it is also a good reason why you should be a mentor. To tell the younger one that this is the part I went through. And because I told this part, this is exactly what I'm facing right now. So you go this way, not this way. If you do this and this, you also arrive where we arrive.
Yeah.
So it's also a very good place to also
But we
be a
also
mentor.
find out that even our political leaders don't document their journey. Very few of them write. You know, in those days, Awolowo used to write. I have the biographies of Sir Ahmadu Bello, biographies, autobiographies indeed, which they wrote themselves, of Nnamdi Azikiwe. You know, but quite a number of them. And recently, I don't know, I can't remember who was that, who was saying, well, I will not write my, I'll wait to write my, when the time is right. And oftentimes they say when the time is right, before you know it, they're dead and gone. You know, someone like General Obasanjo has been a prolific writer.
Yes, sir.
I just read a book that talks about, it's called The Letterman, you know, looking through his life, through all the letters there. And I think that the man has done a great service for those who want to follow and find the mindset of people. I think Obasanjo has been really outstanding. But many of our leaders don't seem not to care.
Yes, sir.
And they come and then they go. And nobody has learned from their own diluted perspective. What do you think about this?
Okay, and now you mentioned Awolowo, Nnamdi Azikiwe, Tafawa Balewa, all of these people. I was not born when they were there, but I was able to read their materials. Now, these people were people who have a set goal. They have one mission: Nigeria must be free. They are not doing it for money. They were pretty comfortable people, but they want to make sure they achieve that goal. So these are the kind of leaders we are talking about. So that's why they were able to document their materials. And when a generation like mine came, we were able to read these materials and see the kind of battles these men fought to be able to get our country independence. But it is unfortunate that the people who are coming into power today don't have a set goal. Most people want to enter public office because they believe it's the fastest way to get money in this country. That's what they are trying to do. But when you see people like Obasanjo and all of these people you mentioned who have been there, these people had a target. They had an ambition for the nation. They were coming to savage Nigeria. They want Nigeria to be a free nation, a nation that exists on its own. So that was their mission. And thank God in their days they achieved it before they pass on. So they're able to document their processes, how they got there. But when we have people who serve as an essay to a governor, who probably is a thug, then the governor says, you have been a loyal thug. Okay, since you're a loyal thug, become an House of Rep member. They continue, it goes to the House of Rep, jump fence, continue fighting. So people like that cannot mentor people because all they will have is money. And if you give them few years when they leave office, you see that their voice will go cold. So we measure mentors by their relevance over seasons, their relevance. If I would say a personal experience, just about a few years ago, I was in a one-room apartment in a place called Kurudu in Abuja, somewhere in Abuja. A young man who does not have direction. I don't really know where and where. I was gearing up, but I don't know how I could burst forth. I didn't come from an advantageous family. But I remember I watched you on Moneyline when you talk about economic policies and the rest with Nancy, and I kept following your programs and the rest. And here I am today. You are still here, still relevant, still doing what you are doing. And me, who is that young boy in that room, I am now here seated with you. So this is people like you and your compatriots. Those are the kind of people we are talking about. People who have remained relevant. Those House of Rep members and all of these people you call, they have had money. The moment they didn't win the next election, that's the end.
Exactly. If you make any political miscalculation, they're out.
They're out forever.
Yeah, and some of them, you never hear from them, except they fight their way back one way or the other. But if it's about self, that's where we have a problem.
Yes.
Okay. So what has been your experience so far, with your club, the so-called mentorship, the mentorship club that you run? Okay.
Most youth, most young people don't want to associate with a thing if they know they are not making money instantly. That's the challenge. They don't know that first you must acquire what I call the spirit of wisdom before finances.
Wow.
So the club was actually built to gather young professionals. So we brainstorm, we try to see where the world is going to and try to get there as quickly as possible. Then we get leaders from all walks of life to come talk to us on their experiences, how they have been able to do what they do and how they have been able to remain relevant. As a matter of fact, most of the people we have hosted they are not politicians. Politicians in that state. Even though the ones in politics, we were able to trace businesses to them. Okay. That this person is CEO of this, he has done so and so. There's not just a politician in quote. So with the club, where we have been consistent since we started, we have hosted quite a number of guests. We are building young people who we see that like the Igbo adage you say, I wish I know how to say it very well, that a man who has people is better than he who have money.
Can you say it in Igbo?
No, I can't say it in Igbo.
So, okay, hold your thoughts there.
Yes, sir.
We'll be going on a short break to pay some bills. We'll be right back.
Now, as part of efforts to support Africa's goal of strengthening...
Now, looking at the activity chart, as you can see right here, a total volume of 130...
Created a Boko Haram crisis that at that time was restricted to Yobe.
How secure are they? You can see security men with blood.
This is the road leading up to the...
Already, if you look at England squad, you are looking at EPL, you are looking at their names. You are not looking at...
Welcome back, viewers, and we'll be speaking with Mr. Mervyn Samuel Jr. on the subject of leadership and mentorship. Welcome back.
Thank you.
And so you were saying something about a man who has people is perhaps stronger than a man who has money. And of course, in Nigeria, we have had a scenario where people talk about that our values, we've lost our values. I always try to qualify that, because when you talk about values, it's not necessarily a very huge sociological question. It's just a case of what do we value?
True.
So maybe in the past, where people valued truthfulness, simplicity, honesty, and all of that, now the new generation just wants to get money any which way. And so we have this phenomenon of Yahoo, especially in the southwest of Nigeria, people trying to dupe people, steal money from people online. And perhaps this is what also has culminated in things like kidnapping, if you like, maybe banditry and all of that. And unfortunately, what has evolved for us as a nation is not particularly very palatable. So, so how do we change these values using this mentorship model, if you ask me?
Okay. Now, if you plan a long term, you are likely to succeed. Most people who do not succeed look at the short term. So somebody kills his mother to do money ritual, Yahoo, like whatever they call it, and buy a Mercedes-Benz 190. That is already outdated. Nobody drives that car anymore. So that kind of a young man or a young woman is thinking of the short term, what they can get immediately. But if you know that life evolves, what is trending today will not trend in another 10 years.
Yeah.
And what we are seeing today, 10 years ago, we didn't have it. So if you know that life evolves and you plan a very long term, you are likely to succeed. What that means is, I won't hurt you because I needed 10,000 naira from you. Because I have it at the back of my mind that I may meet you in another 20 years. And I will need you. You could become anything and I will need you. So, but the challenge we have with our society today, people plan a short term, what they will get now.
Yeah.
How they want to feed now, they want to drive the latest car now. But these things will not be there in another 10 years. So we just need to imprint it in the minds of, particularly the young people.
Okay.
And also the older people who celebrate these monies.
Exactly.
You train up a child to school. The child did not come to give you any appointment later that, oh, see, mom or dad, I've gotten a job somewhere. Then the next day he buys you a car and you start celebrating without questioning.
There's an association of Yahoo voice mothers these days.
Yes.
Who also drag government and say, yes, it's because government has not provided jobs, so their children are okay to do Yahoo and all of that.
That is quite terrible. If the mothers knew that at the end of the day they may become victims. Because whether you like it or not, the law will catch up with you. And once you are involved in such kind of a business, there is no long-term plan. The money is not sustainable. After some time, you will also get fed up of it. Then you will start thinking like what they say in quote to clean the money. But that way, there is no right thinking human being who is well placed in society that want to come and like associate with you in form of a mentor-mentee relationship. It's not possible. People, Chris Koch gave his little story I read that his car broke down sometime in a very lonely road. So he was flagging people down to try to help him. Nobody stopped to help him. So he now made an attempt to try to push the car himself. So while he was at it, people who were passing stopped to help him push the car. So he said that people want to see you make an effort before they can support you.
Yeah.
That's what people always want to see. So when I've overheard young people say, oh, Mr. Mevon, you guys talk about mentorship, how can we access these people? When you meet people, okay, you meet a Dr. Fashwa, for instance, and the first thing you are talking is how you need to pay your house rent, how things are rough, you automatically close doors. Anytime you discuss problems, you close doors. But when you discuss dreams and aspirations, you open votes. So people want to see what you could do, what you can do, and what you are doing right now before they can come to your aid. So if you're a young man out there who is aspiring to get to the top through a legal means, a way that you make money, you have relevance, and you sleep well, you have to get up, make an effort in whatever thing you are doing. Keep pushing. I used to say it in the, I say Jesus is the way. Like the way I normally say it, it doesn't meet you at home. You must have to be on the way.
Oh, you have to be on the way.
Then he meets you because he is the way.
And you said something while we were backstage that if you wanted to go from here to, let's say, Wuse Market, you have to follow the road that has already been paved.
Yes.
Not to say you want to bulldoze buildings to find your own way, it may take you much longer.
Yes. So
that was very instructive.
Yes, sir. So no captain is self-made. The easiest way to become a captain is to follow another captain. So it's a simple code I will encourage every young people to live by. Find out what you have the passion, the drive for, what you want to do, When you have discovered it, the next assignment is simple. Look for who is already a success in that thing and follow the person with all your heart. By all means. It will not be easy, but follow.
Anyway, but for someone like me, one of my issues really with the mentorship, a lot of people come to me online and say they want me to be a mentor. I'm thinking, am I successful yet? Maybe I should be looking for mentors myself, because because does it not, if for some of us we don't believe we are anything per se, you know what I'm saying? So when somebody comes like this, I see you're saying, Rankadede, you have arrived, and I know I haven't arrived but I'm not sure whether I will ever arrive anyway, because for me it's a daily grind to pursue what I believe is right. For example, presenting this program. It's not about the money. It's about the passion to share everything I have and travel light. That's my own. What advice do you have for people like us then?
So, no, now, the level you are right now is somebody's dream.
Oh, okay. Which is true.
That's the truth. There are people who are dreaming, like people like me, that I want to be like you.
Okay.
Now, it's somebody's dream, your current level. And it is a good thing that you're also aspiring for more, because one of the ways I rate people now, be it a man or a woman, I will ask you, who do you follow? Whether directly or indirectly, because who you follow will give you an insight of where you're likely to arrive.
Wow.
So if you follow somebody like a Dr. Fashua now, then we know your path, where you're likely to arrive.
Interesting.
Yes, so it is key.
Yes.
That, I tell people, every level you aspire to get to, there are sacrifices you must make. It is very, some people say you message online that, be my mentor. Come on, they have to go the extra mile. There are sacrifices you have to make to be able to get people to want to listen to you. I was listening to a young man's story, Stanley Uzuchukwu.
Stanley, yes.
Cosmos Maduka was speaking in the platform, and he explained exactly what Stanley was doing, Stanley, to be able to attract his attention first. Yes, to be able to get his attention before he decided to mentor him. And he even said on that platform that it was not that he needed funds for business. He gave him money to establish him. So, but there was something the young man, Stanley Uzochukwu, did to be able to attract that relationship. But these young people we have these days, they want to get to the next level without sacrifice. And if you don't sacrifice for your next level becomes a sacrifice.
Wow.
Either way, there will be sacrifice.
But mind you, something popped up in my mind as you were speaking, the fact that we now live in a social media age, and the people who seem to have the most following are maybe entertainers. Sometimes you just need to be a nuisance, create a nuisance value. So you have people like, let's say, Bob Risky, it's an advertisement, unfortunately. I'm not advertising for him. James Brown, cross-dressers, people who have created a lot of notoriety in different places. They don't have to be having, and they have 20 million followers, perhaps more than the president of Nigeria, maybe on Twitter or somewhere, And like we say that leadership is about influence, leadership is about who they follow. How do we ensure that our young people follow people who have values, proper values? Not necessarily to say that the values must take them back to the olden days, but there are some values that make for a better future, whether for the young people personally or for the nation where we are. Because unfortunately, what we are seeing now is that many of the young people they can't wait to leave Nigeria. They treat the country with disdain. They believe there's no hope here. Let me just jackpot abroad. But you're jackpotting into a country where the people sat down, they understood their values, they built their nations. Even if they now have got to a point where they decide to do a bit of messing around, but they've built their nation with blood, sweat, and tears. You know what I'm saying? How do we bring back our youth to terra firma, to the earth, so that they can actually understand that there's nothing wrong with this country and that they are the ones that will build this country?
Awesome. Now, sir, it is quite alarming the way people leave this country on a daily basis. And anybody who is able to raise some little amount of money, the next thing he or she is trying to do is to leave the country. There are people who have the means who decide to stay. So it all boils down to exactly what you want out of life. So most of these young people wants to belong. That's why they follow all of these people on social media. Some of them send them DMs trying to belong. They just want to get popular and the rest. And like they say, the social media never forgets. Because I've been around a little while in life to see from the people ahead of me, because I'm somebody who follow older people with all my heart, because I believe the elders are mobile libraries. So I follow them. And when I always tell people the fall of the yellow leaf is a warning to the green ones. So when you see these people, the question is, to what end? What are they achieving? To what end? And it's laughable when I also see some of my friends who live in the UK and America and the rest call me trying to get back to this country.
Wow.
Because they have been there for years and they want to come back and set up businesses and the rest. Some of them are coming back. Why these people who maybe likely have not even traveled before wants to rush out in search of greener pastures. These things didn't start today. It has been there, but just like it's not because of social media, it's not trending.
Yeah.
People could not normally, if not in the aspect of the country, the area of the country I came from, there's a certain state very close to in the south, I won't like to mention. There are young people who don't stay at home. They're always in Europe.
Wow.
So it has been there, but social media has made this one trend for a long time. Everybody wants to leave the country. We are here. We know some of them will still get back, because by the nature of their visas, you can't stay more than 2-3 years. You will still have to return to the country. So if it all boils down to what you want out of life, do you want to make an impact?
Yes.
Let it be that as they are writing the history of the country, also there was this time people ran out, but you stayed and did so and so, and because you did this, this sector boom again.
And I think that this is where we have an open canvas for us to make it. For example, if I was living in the UK, I'm not sure I would have a program to present today.
Of course.
Who will listen to me with my Nigerian accent? It will be like, you didn't go to Oxford, you didn't go to Cambridge.
Yes.
Who are you? Who's your father? Where are you coming from? Maybe 1 in a million, 1 in 10 million opportunities like this, which may be easier to access in Nigeria, because this is our country. Actually.
Yes.
Anyway, last word. Under 30 seconds, because I've been told our time is over. What's your general advice to Nigerian youth?
Okay, for the young people listening to me out there, like I've said before, everything you desire to be, it is not new. Somebody has become it. Find that person. Do all you can. If at the monies you are gathering that you want to use to jackpot, use it. Use your resources. Find a way to buy influence to be able to meet that person. There is no man on earth that is honor-proof. Every man, no matter how stiff he is, bound to honor. So if a man or a woman knows you honor them, they will listen to you.
Fantastic.
So I will advise the young people, make sacrifices for your next level, so that next level does not become the sacrifice.
Fantastic. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
So you've been listening to us speaking about leadership, mentorship. Perhaps my own little advice would be that, the young people of this country, you can go abroad, get an education, see the way they do things. The best thing, actually, the best life you will live, scenario where you go and come and retain your dignity, not sell out too cheaply. This is our country. We are the ones that must make this country great. Thank you very much for listening, and see you next week.